Do you have a check ride in your future and wish you could talk to a DPE? Well, we have one in the hangar.
I used to be a well-respected member of the aviation community, and then I started flying to Cirrus, and that changed.
Oh, that was great until the engine quit.
And all of a sudden I see these explosions and these trees exploding.
I'm walking away a better pilot because of this discussion.
Welcome to In the Hangar. I'm Dan Milliken.
And I'm Christy Wong. And today we're here with DPE Joe Casey.
Thank you for letting me be here.
Oh, you bet, Joe. Glad you could be here.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right, so you're a DPE. What does that mean?
Designated Pilot Examiner. So if you want to become a pilot, either a private, instrument, commercial, whatever that rating is you're seeking, then at the end of all your training, you're going to come see me, where you get to take a practical test, and hopefully if everything goes well, I get to be the guy that hands you your new license or rating or whatever you're seeking.
That must be so rewarding.
It is. That's by far the most fun part of the whole thing, is shaking somebody's hand.
Failing somebody is probably not the best feeling, of course, but...
There's a proper way to do it, where your left hand holds the rating and your right hand you're shaking the hand. You always get a picture at the end of the whole thing, so it's a lot of fun.
Of course, if you didn't get a picture and post it, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen, that's right.
Not in these days. Okay, well, let's go into, for those who may have a check ride in their future, what are some of the biggest don'ts or fails that you encounter when you're on a check ride?
I think it all starts with you need to know the practical test standards, or the ACS. Literally, it tells you what the check ride is supposed to be like. I'm going to basically follow that step by step. And I can't tell you how many people come to me seeking a rating or seeking a license, and they haven't even looked at the ACS or the PTS to know. And so we're going to get into something that's like, if I ask you about hypoxia or spatial disorientation, a lot of guys will, that's like a distant way out that they didn't really prepare for, when it clearly says it's right there. So it's sometimes tough to be able to fail somebody for something that they thought was a minor point, but it actually, hey, it's there. I have to examine on that subject.
How far do you let an applicant go before you actually call it?
Way far. And that's one of my great fears, is that I'll hit a valley or hit a place where they're not doing so well, when really they prepared very well. And I want to go really far into it and make sure I've hit a lot of problems. Never is there a time where it's one question and you miss that question and you're out of here. Just about
We're done.
No, it really doesn't happen. When somebody comes to me, if they fail something, or if they answer a question incorrectly, I'll usually divert, move around, come back to it from another angle, and find out, does that person really understand that subject matter?
Well, and I appreciate that, because in one check ride I had for one of the certificates, I felt like I was speaking the same language as the DPE. And then when I went for another rating, it was like we were speaking different languages. And so he was asking a question, I was a little bit deer in the headlights because I didn't quite understand. And when he came around like what you're saying, oh, okay, I see, yeah, it's this. So I appreciate that kind of an approach.
Right, yeah, it definitely, for me, as a DPE, it's I don't know of any DPE that doesn't take their job very seriously. And really, we don't want to not issue a rating or a license when they really deserve it and they came prepared. But either we didn't ask it in the right way, or they just didn't interpret it the right way. So we're really looking to pass them. We're looking to.
You're on their side.
Right, yeah, we want them to do well.
So we've talked about what not to do and some of the failures. What are some of the things that students do best or really well during check rides?
Not to make it sound wrong, because you really want to look at the entire check ride, but if it starts well, it tends to go well. You can tell pretty quick if somebody came prepared, if they really know what they're doing. So I think I would, if I were a flight instructor counseling a student, when they're coming, dress appropriately. Look like this is something you're interested in. Be confident when you walk in and when you answer the questions. Know what the kind of questions I'm going to ask. They're in the ACS and the PTS, so you should know. So know that subject matter when you come in. I'm going to ask the question, so just be prepared on a subject matter to be able to know a lot about that subject matter.
What about the actual flight itself? What kind of, we've talked about the don'ts and then the do's of the oral. What about the actual flight? What are some big problems you see a lot?
Probably the biggest problem that I see on the Checkride is focusing too much on one particular thing. Like you bust on altitude. Let's say somebody gets off by, if it's a private pilot, 100 feet. And if they get off, they'll mentally and emotionally, it just goes downhill as if everything's all over. And I'm actually thinking, well, it's pretty bumpy today, and that's okay. But all of a sudden, they've heaped up so much onto them emotionally that it's hard for them to recover back to a place where they can actually pass the test and fly well.
So you're not looking for perfection, but you are looking for them to fix it in that case. So it would be, in that situation, it would probably behoove that person to say, I'm off by 100 feet, so they've recognized the problem, and then say, I'm correcting right now by X, Y, and Z. And that tells you where they're at in their head.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if you come to me for a private pilot check ride, I'm looking at the ACS and the PTS, and I'm really looking for certain skills, but I'm also answering the question, would I put my child, my loved one on board and let you fly them around? If you're coming to me for an instrument rating, I'm answering the question, would I put my loved one on board and let you fly them in the clouds? If you're coming for a CFIs, would I let you teach my kids how to fly?
That's a really good way to think about that.
And so if you come back to, if you mess up in an area, don't think it's just an automatic, you're done and you're out. Now, there are some things that if you're done, you're out, and that's all, that there is to it. But on so much of the check ride, there's a subjective analysis that I'm allowed to make. So keep trying, keep going, keep plowing ahead, do the best you can.
So is there a particular check ride that you like doing more than others, like a private or an instrument, a commercial, or what have you?
No, my favorite by the far is the CFI.
Oh,
really?
By far.
The marathon?
It's the long one.
See, that's why I'm not a CFI right now. You went ahead and she just survived her. She's got the t-shirt to show it.
Exactly. I think I'm just recovering from that. That was a very...
Way to go.
Oh man, that was the most intense check ride. And I mean, everybody warned me, and I knew mentally going in that this is the big one.
It is.
And yet I still don't feel like I was emotionally prepared for just how tough it was going to be.
Oh gosh, you're like the picture of prepared when you.
Well, I know, but that just goes to show you how much.
As a matter of fact, I saw
is.
Pictures of you being prepared, going in, all the books and everything that you had laid out.
No, it was, and the thing is about the CFI check ride is that there's just so much information, and it's like, you can they can go in there and ask you to recall anything from your private going forward, and even a little bit of instrument too, because you are doing some instrument training on your CFI check ride.
Yeah, we're drilling down pretty far with the CFI, and we should. And the reason why is the CFI is the gatekeeper.
Absolutely.
They're the ones that are signing people off for solo. They're the ones that are creating the pilots of the future, and we want them to be very good. There's no doubt. We want them to teach correctly, and we want them to teach well. And so when it comes to the CFI, when you get a candidate that really takes that serious, and they come in and prepare, it's a joy. It's fun to be a part, to see that person become, who they are in that check ride. And also it's fun to watch them because they know they kind of know what's going to happen when they walk in the door. If you're prepared and you do well, you're expecting that to go well. And it's neat to see people flourish when they should be.
All right, so I've seen on social media that people will be excited and they'll post their grade from their written, and they got an 83 and if they do, there's invariably, I promise you, every single time somebody will say, well, that was 13 points more than you needed. You studied way too hard. All you needed was a 70. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I have not found a correlation between the score on the written test and how well you do on the ride. I've seen both of them. A guy or somebody come in with a 70 or somebody come in with 100 on the test. It can go either way. A lot of times you would think if somebody comes in with a really high score on the test that you kind of preemptively think, oh, this is going to go great, and then it doesn't. So I haven't seen that. So the key for you is to get a passing grade on the written test. And once you've got that, come on in. If you get a 75 on the test, don't retake it.
Right.
Come on in. Focus on the next challenge, which is that practical test.
One thing I was actually told early on in my piloting career is the lower score you get, the harder the oral portion is going to be.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
It's not true with me, and I don't think it's. And I will tell you as well that every year all the DPs for a region get together. We just had that not maybe a month or two ago.
You have like a DPE potluck, like everybody brings a dish.
No,
Is it
it's-
a fly-in?
Yeah, exactly.
we're a pretty stiff crowd, so it's not,
Right. I was going to say, and you hardly talk to each other?
yeah, it's not the most exciting meeting, but I will tell you the caliber of DPs in our region is super, super high, and they filter the people that become DPs very, very well. So it's just really, really a neat group of people. And I don't know of anybody that's a DP in our region, or anybody that I know, that would, not give a thorough check ride. It's almost, if you've taken check rides, if you've ever had a check ride that you prepared for and you did a lot for, and they didn't ask enough. It's almost an offense. And so I want to give a good check ride where they've earned the piece of paper and
They get their money's worth.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. You want to be able to do that well.
So-
How do you become a DPE?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
You
We're
ask
on the
it.
same
Go
level.
ahead. Go ahead.
Well,
How does one become a DPE?
Well, it's all changed as of lately. There used to be a pilot examiner board in Oklahoma City, and the FSDOs, each FSDO would determine how many they need, and they would send names up to the board, and the board would review. All that's changing. It's so new nowadays that really what you need to do is get with your FSDO and tell them, hey, I want to be in a DPE. And you possibly can. There's definitely right now a shortage of DPs. I'm telling you right now, my phone rings off the hook. I could literally book 2 months in advance without any worries whatsoever. So
And it's been that way for a couple of years.
it's been that way for a while, and but they have made some serious good changes as of late. It used to be I could only give 2 check rides in a day. Now I can give 3.
What about the CFI initial?
CFI initial, I still only do 1 a day. And I'll tell you, if I do 3, it's because it comes from a flight school that I know really well, or
And
I know
you're
one of
there.
the candidates.
But you can do more than one.
I can do more than 1 a day.
Gotcha.
That's right.
Okay.
But probably the best thing that's happened, that's really kind of a neat thing, is DPs used to have geographic areas that they had to remain in. That's no longer the
Oh.
case. It literally is a worldwide domain.
So have
Or-
DPE will travel.
That's right. You can go in.
Okay.
You can go in. A DP can go anywhere, and that's really been. It's really a wise thing. It's a good
Well,
thing.
before you go to the FSDO, what kind of qualifications do you have to be considered to be a DPE?
I don't know the exact limitation or the exact requirements, but I can tell you the people that are in that room that's full of DPEs, it's super high, super high. They are very careful to filter people that are just looking for a rating, the people that actually want to help mold and shape the future pilots that are out there.
Do you have to have like an ATP and things like that already, or can say like a 500-hour commercial pilot apply?
I think a 500-hour commercial pilot can apply, but I doubt it would go very far.
Yeah.
You're competing against a lot of people nationally now, so they've literally taken the power and the ability for a FSDO to be able to control that, and it's nationally. So you're competing against a pretty staunch level of candidate to become a DPE. There's no doubt about it.
Okay, so your best tip that you would give somebody it's Checkride Eve, what would you tell them?
Okay, number one, without a doubt, over nervousness is without a doubt the biggest thing that I see. So I see somebody come in with sweaty palms and they're just so nervous. I work so hard to try to downplay.
down.
But literally, one of the first things that I tell them is, look, the worst thing, if everything in here goes completely wrong, the worst thing I can do is not give you the rating you sought. I can't take your money or hurt you, or nothing negative is going to happen in that regard. And if you look at it that way, you're going to perform so much better. It's usually pilots tend to be people that don't take a negative very well. They don't like to be, told they're wrong, or they don't pass muster. And if you can take that off the table and then actually come in and just perform because the nervousness goes down, it goes so much better. I work really hard to try to eliminate that off the table. Oftentimes I cannot, and it doesn't go well. So try to remove the nervousness.
But you also don't want somebody coming in who's overly confident and doesn't know anything either.
No, false confidence is I'm looking for that. I'm looking for, if I've got a guy or a girl or anybody that doesn't know, that doesn't know what they don't know. I want them to know that's a dangerous recipe for a pilot right there. I want them to know what is the subject matter that the PTS or the HCS is saying.
Okay, and you said this over nervousness that they need to come in without it. And one thing I found in my first check ride, which got delayed for weather, I ended up being so prepared. I went in, I wasn't nervous at all because I had been really, really well prepared. For my instrument, no. I probably could have maybe delayed that a little bit, but I still passed, but I was nervous.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I think everybody's nervous going into a check ride, but
the more you prepare, I think the less nervous you are. So
Absolutely.
the pill for nervousness, I think, is preparation.
Yeah.
very well said.
And I'll say that on top of that, that's the pill. That's right.
That's the pill.
The other one is contact the DP and kind of talk it through. Of what's somebody that comes to me and I only have.
Oh, really? You can
their-
do that? See, I did. Yeah.
Oh,
That's supposed to be
I absolutely-
radio silence.
No, I absolutely did. So that's what I did. So when I actually started, like, before I even started taking flying lessons, I was like,
You started paying him.
no,
Oh, okay.
no. I actually, I went to the local pilot shop and I started like asking for information. You know, who do you know over on the area? And I got a name and I reached out to this DPE and said, hi, my name is Christy Wong and I'm learning how to fly and I would like to really talk to you about you being my examiner because I you know what I mean?
Right.
And so I started a professional, like, you know, conversation with him about that. And it wound up working out really well because he was willing to talk to me, you know, and just kind of, and I was able to humanize the situation. I think that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
I was looking to humanize the situation instead of going in with this, you know, faceless name and, oh my God, I'm meeting this guy for the first time and
That's
you know.
a good idea.
In addition, come to like if the check ride's going to be at my airport, come to my airport, fly my approaches, land on my runway, come to my office. And
Right
see
before
how
my commercial,
Yeah.
I went to the DPE's airport and did all that. Yes, it helped a lot.
a good CFI will guide that whole thing. To really get a good
Yeah.
CFI that's going to guide you and bring you in and introduce you and let you just see that it's just a regular old guy that's just, I have the requirement of making sure I don't hand out a license to somebody that's going to be an unsafe pilot.
So, regular old guy, what is your airport?
JSO is the identifier. It's Cherokee County Airport. It's in East Texas, just south of Tyler.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, I've actually been in there once.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about you have an
PA.
Yeah, well, I own Casey Aviation, and what I do DPEing. I don't know if that's the right word, new word there.
If not, Christy will make it up for you.
Yeah, there you go.
I got
I
you.
DPE when I can, but I'm in the PA 46 community, and I provide insurance-approved training for jet props, Meridians, Malibus, Matrixes, all these different airplanes. So
Anything with
Be
an
Still
M.
My Beating Heart.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Piper.
they're
Okay.
great. They're great airplanes, that's for sure. So I've been doing that for about 18 years now. So I'm one of the. I do a lot of flight instruction in that area. So that's a big part of my world.
If you do a lot of flight instruction, how does that work with being a DPE? Obviously, you can't.
I can't sign somebody off for to check a check.
One of
ride
your
with
students
me.
off,
Right.
yeah.
I can have somebody else do that, and that does happen on occasion where I'll provide some of the training towards a rating, but somebody else is always going to be a big part of it and be the ones that sign them off.
Wow. It's very good to know.
Well, Joe, thank you so much for answering some questions, and hopefully people watching that may be on Checkride Eve can know what the pill to take to decrease that nervousness.
Thank you for having me here. This is a great thing.
No, this has been awesome. It's been fantastic getting to know you.
You bet. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so you've got the answer. You can go out and nail your check ride, and we'll see you next time in the hangar.